Hey, the talent's here.
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
Good. We got Steven in the house, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Steven.
Thanks for having me
What's
on
up,
today.
man? How are you?
Doing wonderful. I'm here with you
fantastic?
guys, so this is, absolute pleasure.
It's always a good time, man.
Yes.
It's always a good time.
Simple Brian.
Simple Brian's
Simple
back there.
Brian.
Yeah.
Tell us a story again about when you graduated from producer school and they called you Simple Brian.
You basically told it.
Okay.
I like that story a lot.
Hey,
In his night movies.
dude, Steven, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Had a great day today.
Good.
It's been a good week. Like I said, I always love hanging out with you guys, so this is a blessing.
Well, we wanted to have you on because we know you got your podcast that's called Stay Last Podcast on the Half Room Network, recorded in the Half Room Studio.
But dang.
But we have him on here because, you know, Steven's got this incredible story, just everything that's happened in his life, you know, the travels, how, you know, just the different things that he's had to deal with. Yeah. That's kind of like brought him to where he is now. And I wanted him to have a platform and kind of a forum where he could tell these stories and kind of and we could talk about these things because, you know, I grew up with Steven. We grew up together. He was better friends with my brother until he met me. And then he realized that I was way cooler than my brother.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot too. I've got two brothers, and it feels like people will be friends with one of my brothers, and then once they meet me, it's like, oh, okay, this is the real stuff.
Well, my brother would get super mad because his friends would come over, and since I was old, I wasn't any cooler than him, really, but like just because I was older, it was like some of his friends would like kind of gravitate towards me. But Steven like always thought he could fight.
Yeah.
And so he beat up everybody his age. Like he did pretty good at that. Like nobody would mess with Steven. Like he'd roll him up in a wrestling match. So the next step was obviously to try to get his hands on the
older
bull,
brother. The older brother. The alpha.
He wanted to get his hands on the bull.
The alpha.
Bull.
I wanted that alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had already handled all the calves.
All the calves.
Yeah, but now it was like, where's the bull? And what happened when you tried to ride the bull?
I remember
You got bucked.
it's not exactly what I remember, but I'll go with
How
that.
do you
I like
remember
that.
it? How did?
Well, we had wanted to fight each other so many times. I don't know how many youth pastors and people have broken us up from fighting. Dozens of times. Well, I just remember standing in your living room and your parents had a new sofa, good, nice, beautiful sofa, and somehow we got slammed onto it. I remember being fish hooked because that's your favorite move. Fish hook every time. Zach always goes for a fish hook. So if you're gonna fight him,
good to
know this.
Know that going in.
Yeah.
Know it going in.
How does the fish hook look? What is that?
Bring your face over here and I'll show you.
He's gonna grab your cheek with his finger.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, he's dirty.
Gosh, that's super.
That's like
dirty.
catch wrestling.
Yeah.
That's like dirty.
Or I'll like jam my finger just right up under your nose and have full face control.
Yeah, single joint manipulation. These things. Or,
I call it full face control. But okay.
So yeah, I just remember. I honestly remember is getting fish hooked, and we broke your parents' couch in half.
Yeah, I do remember we broke the couch in half.
On the good, that was.
But we kind of set it back up to where like the next person that sat on it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, man, you broke the couch.
which is probably Travis.
Right.
So.
Well, he always was like, hey, why don't we wrestle? Because like back then wrestling was like the thing. It was like, hey,
we're Southern boys. That's what we do. We
wrestle.
Yeah.
So what happened was Steven had made quick work of everybody his age. And so when we wrestled, it was a little more evenly matched. But it really would make him mad. So then he would take a cheap shot. And then that would make me mad.
Yeah.
And so then I would take a shot. And then now we're like fighting. We were in the hallway. Remember the hallway? And we were just like, I mean, that was like when it got really the worst.
That was
and there was like
bad.
a bunch of people in between us.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
But
nothing like a gathering of the saints.
Yeah. The funny thing is that I kind of I grew up, you know, matured. Realized that fighting just isn't going to get
that's
you far.
weird.
Yeah.
Steven just continued to fight to the
Yeah.
point where he started studying. You studied like martial arts. What
pretty much
different martial arts were you into?
My whole life, I started martial arts when I was real young, from taekwondo to karate. So the traditional stuff when you're young, because that's the only options we had.
Right.
Right.
Whoa.
But then kung fu. No, we can call it like
arts.
but you know, there's a lot of there are some practical moves in there if you can just bring them into the actual, the practicality of like what a real fight is, and not.
There's practical moves in baking as well, but
there is, and I'd always been into martial arts. That's just something I always identified with. That was my passion. Whether it was my papa was a Pentecostal pastor, and he raised me watching boxing. He was real big in boxing. He was a boxer. He had been arrested multiple times for fighting, and it was kind of in our blood. I remember him telling me one time, like, if you're a grandson of mine, then you fight. And so it was very Southern of him. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make him proud. He was like another father figure to me. So martial arts I saw was the best way to do that. And then finally I started getting into more things like actual like wrestling, like collegiate wrestling, these type of things, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, actually training at these gyms. And then things started to change. But I've never just fought anybody.
Really? You've never just like walked up like somebody got in your face, bowed up a little bit?
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I thought you meant like you've never been in like an unorganized fight.
Right. A couple that were organized, but they were for betting purposes only.
Yeah.
So the only reason I would fight is because I was picked on a lot, as a child. And then so after I realized in my first fight, so it was one of my first fights that I actually remember was in 6th grade with a kid named Douglas. And Doug, if you're out there, I love you to death. Of course, because when you fight somebody, it's so spiritual, the connection that happens. And then after you fight, if you're not friends with that person, it means you were fighting out of hatred and not fighting out of your passion.
Yeah.
And I think, that's where that bar is. And right away, I made my first friend. It was my 3rd day of 6th grade. And my papa said, if anybody messes with you, just let them have it. And I had braces, and he threw ants on me, and then I took a swing at him, and he was like quick as lightning. This is my first try, and he had obviously been doing this since he was like 3, and he just tore me to pieces. And right then and there, I knew, I was like, this is the greatest, the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. And we literally walked to the principal's office together. My teeth were stuck to my braces, and I said, this is what I want to do the rest of my life.
Dude. And it's sad, just to take it back a little bit, because for you to say it's like the best feeling in your life, I've never been in a fight. I've never been bowed up on. I've never bowed up on anybody. I've never been in that. And I had 2 brothers, and like we wrestled and we tussled, but like I've never been just in a fight. Mm-hmm. So to get just as a guest on our couch, if me and Zach fought, am I gonna get a punch in? Or
absolutely.
Am I going to get just completely closed out? I'm going to be on my back before I know it. What's going to happen? I just
no
need to
chance
know.
you get a punch.
I just need to know, because you know a lot about fighting. I just want to know. I've never been in a fight before. I've got a lot of pent up aggression, a lot of anger, a lot of unused testosterone in my body, and I'm ready to bring it out. And if Zach is the individual on the other side, on that receiving end,
I think it would be good. It'd go really well.
You think?
Yeah. We could do a little mitt work beforehand, just clean up some stuff.
just a little bit of mitt work.
Yeah, just to clean up your hands
get a little
bit.
Mitt work in.
Dude, here's the deal. I watched Creed like 4 times, so I've got my mitt work down. I know where I'm popping.
There you go.
But I'm probably not going to use my hands much. I wouldn't. But I do want to.
What are you going to use, like your teeth?
No, mostly just my legs, dude.
You're a kicker.
Yeah, you see these thighs?
Oh,
I mean, dude, if I kick him, it's broken. Your shin bone.
If we can make this happen, I'll do whatever it takes.
I just want to fight, dude. Nah, I would. I mean,
I'm moving out of the way.
Yeah,
easily.
Maybe with your
that
grody,
giant slow leg of yours getting up in the air.
Yep,
like, oh.
That's what you'd be doing.
If that's going to be your first move, then I'm just going to bite your finger off.
Well, good luck when it's putting a hole in your cheek. So
it does.
Yeah, it will.
That's such a dirty move, man. I expected more. I don't know.
I'll scratch like the inside of your mouth with a dirty fingernail.
Not to mention it's cranking your spine.
Yeah.
Your spine?
Yeah, it's pulling your whole...
Oh, man.
It's almost like a neck crank.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, okay.
It's dirty.
I just wanted to get your input.
I think you'll do great, man.
About it.
I think you'll do great.
I'm not at all saying that I would win the fight, because I don't think that's true at all. But I think I could get in a lick or two.
I grew up. I matured. Okay, Steven continued to practice martial arts. I'm not saying he didn't mature either, but I realized that hey, I'm not going to spend my life fighting. I really wasn't that good at it. Like people that I've
Yeah,
been beat up.
you
a
just
few
fought people
times.
younger than you. I get it, and smaller. I
We
get it.
wrestled. He wasn't smaller than me. We were always the same size.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
And he was younger, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. A couple years, no big deal. I wouldn't even dream about wrestling or fighting Steven now.
No.
That's like fighting a professional.
No, it's definitely not. My head would fall off. You know this. I have a
But
broken
listen to me.
C-spine.
Okay. Tell me.
Don't for 1 minute think that you are going to get around on me. You're going to get a punch in on me. You're going to get your slow leg up in the air to actually kick me. I'm going to be on you so fast. Your first fight won't even feel like a fight.
Okay.
You'll be waking up. Asking what happened.
So real quick, just as an ultra marathon runner,
Yes.
how long is it going to take you to charge up your legs in order to actually be able to sprint and do anything quick? Because I just know right off the rip you're going to be slow because you're built for endurance. You're not built for these quick pops, dude. So am I going to have to let you take a couple laps, just run around a parking lot for a little bit? And then you're finally like Sonic, and you're kind of charged up.
We'll get
and
this
you're ready.
settled. We'll get this settled.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get this settled.
There's
From the
only
guy that's
one
never
way
been
to
in a
settle
fight.
these things.
I know, dude.
And especially in the South, we know how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to get your input.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
And it's
I
not
got
winning
him
or
kind of
losing.
mad now too.
Yeah, I'm a little fired up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, this guy's
steaming
over
a
here
little
talking
bit.
trash.
It's about the experience. It's just about the experience.
I'm fired up because you're talking trash. You have no idea what you're talking about. You've never even been punched in the
That's
face.
all I do, dude. I'm
you don't
a
really
lot
even
of
know what's going to happen until you take a shot.
I'm a lot
in
of
the
bark.
face.
I absolutely agree.
But the other thing is like you're doing it in front of Steven, and I feel like there's a side of me that's like I gotta still show him that
you
I'm a
can-
bull.
I still look at you as the bull. I definitely do.
All right, so you study martial arts, and
Yeah.
kind of what really wanted to get into though was at the same time you and I both joined the military. I joined the Air Force. You went into the Coast Guard. And that happened like within a few months of each other. I know that we
was
both,
very close.
we
Yes.
both left right around the same time to do that. And then, we kind of lost touch for a little bit, just being stationed in different areas. We would see each other back like on holidays in Tallahassee.
Very
and stuff
rarely,
like that.
though. Yeah.
But yeah, it was rare. And then you got out of the Coast Guard, and then you had these great travels through like South America. Gosh, just the stories I would hear, second, third hand from people about what you were doing, it blew my mind. So, kind of go into, I want to hear a little bit how you got, your transition from the Coast Guard into, you're traveling through, hitchhiking through South America, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So in the United States Coast Guard, my passion back then was the reason I joined the Coast Guard was to go into law enforcement. I wanted to go in law enforcement. I was young, and thank you to all our law enforcement first responders out there. You guys are amazing. I wanted to go into law enforcement, but after I got into the Coast Guard, you're doing drug interdiction. So we all know a certain percentage of cocaine has to make it into the port of Miami and Fort Lauderdale for the economy to stay alive. So I felt like I was a kid being used to play a very dangerous game and not get anything out of it. I love the Coast Guard. I did not like the law enforcement aspect of it one little bit. And we did migrant interdiction. And this is real hard for me because to this day I haven't forgiven myself for all the migrants from Cuba and Haiti that we would take back and give them back to their country, and who knows what happened to them after that. It was really, really tough for me. And so when I got out of the Coast Guard, I knew I loved to travel. I knew I loved people a lot. And I was starting to read a lot of scripture and just kind of seeing that I had this vagabond spirit inside me. So I was guilty. I felt guilty for what I had done, with this immigrant interdiction. And I wanted to go to a country that I knew was not a fan of U.S. citizens. So I bought a one-way ticket to Nicaragua. And that was, kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. But I knew I needed to. I knew I needed to just get away from everything. I was feeling very trapped here in the United States. I was feeling like I was being suffocated. I was being pressed to live a certain lifestyle that I didn't feel matched up with my spirit at all. I felt like my spirit was the exact opposite of what everyone was teaching me, from the school systems to anywhere. It wasn't until I started reading books that I realized there was other people even thought maybe like me. And then especially Jesus. When I read about Jesus, that spirit, that go. So yeah, I went on to Nicaragua, just had no plans, just how you're supposed to do it. I learned a lot from Will Morrison. He has the best Instagram on Instagram. It's Morryboard International. And he's been traveling since we were about 18. He hasn't stopped. We're 36 now. But he was a big inspiration for that. And the gospel was a big inspiration for me. Get me out of the United States. Get me out of the comfort zone, which really was not comfortable to me at all. I just didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like I understood this place at all, especially after the military. And so I headed on out, and I went to, you're under a communist regime with Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua, and it was absolutely beautiful. There's not, I won't speak bad about any leaders or anything like that, but there's a lot of scandal going on right now in Nicaragua, if you guys haven't seen on the news, and civil uprising and the very neighborhoods I lived in, and it's on my heart. But yeah, man, I ended up down in Nicaragua, didn't know where to go, and then started to finally learn the language because I couldn't speak Spanish. So when I got down there, I had to really I was focused on learning the language. And that's how it started right there.
So from Nicaragua, where did you go after that?
Man, I was in Nicaragua for almost a year, and then I went on to Costa Rica. I got into Costa Rica, and there's beautiful places in Costa Rica, but it was completely Americanized. It was almost, everywhere I went, it kind of felt like the same stuff back home. You get to see globalization at its finest. And so I wasn't a big fan, so then I headed on to Panama. Pretty wild place, pretty great place. Now, in all these countries, regardless of globalization, the people are absolutely amazing to me. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, wonderful people. So this was like a new experience, and I was by myself. I wanted to travel by myself because when you travel with someone else, you tend to stay kind of teamed up with that person. You're not as open to make friends. Yeah. If you travel by yourself, you're going to make so many friends and travel with this caravan here and this caravan here. And one morning you wake up and say, I want to go to Peru in South America, or let's go here to this country. And you just wake up and say, let's go. And that's a wonderful life. I mean, it's just an incredible life to be able to just get up and go, And
now, how'd you get? Tell the story how you got to South America.
So I got stuck in Panama, and I'm in Panama City, and I knew about the Darien Gap. Right. So it's the land passage between Panama and Colombia, and it's all jungle.
So there's no roads. You can't actually drive from Central America to South America.
No.
So
there's a land gap, but no roads.
How many miles is that roughly? Isn't it like 70 miles in that?
It's like only 70 miles, like 200 and something rivers and.
Yeah, so there's this area of Central America where it connects to South America, and there's no roads. You can't drive there. So it's this.
So it's just like a jungle of just like a
very dangerous jungle. Like many people have said they've gone through the Darien Gap, and people have done it. But you'll have people that have written books on going through the Darien Gap, and a lot of it's completely false. Yeah, I mean, you got a good chance of dying within the first 24 hours out in that place. So I knew that wasn't anything, I'm not a survivalist, no Bear Grylls, I was in the Coast Guard. I mean, I can just, I'll swim this thing if anything. So I was actually at a hostel for a while, and I was working at that hostel to have free room and board and food. And I'm stuck because I don't have any cash flow at this time. And then I saw that there was boats, and these tourists and Europeans were taking these boats. It was like $3,000 or $4,000 or $3,000 or. I remember it was over $1,200, and I was like, well, I can't do that. So I met this guy named Fabio, and he lived in Carpagana.
Fabio.
His name is literally Fabio, and he was the sexy dude. He was, he's awesome.
Not the Fabio.
Not the Fabio, but he was from Italy.
A hot Fabio.
Yes, okay. And he has a hostel. I'm pretty sure to this day, he was the first one to open a hostel in this town, the Carpagana. There's no roads in or out. Wow. It's completely surrounded by jungle. And, you can get kidnapped from the hills right there. You got to be careful going hiking and that kind of stuff. But so he just tells me, listen, man, I live in Colombia. You're trying to get there. You should come with me. And I'm like, okay, what do I got to do? And he's like, $60. I can get you there. These guys are going to take us. So it was about 3:00 in the morning. And these guys, Fabio and I had our own room at this point. We were all ready to go, and they come knocking, banging, banging, banging real hard at like 3 a.m. And we went out, packed up in this little minivan, and started packing up with families. Like I said, they're putting kids in my lap, and we were all just in this van. And I still don't really know exactly what's happening. And finally, we get down to the coast. We go through the jungle forever. we get down to the coast, and there's go fast boats there. So go fast boat or a cigarette boat. You guys know what I'm referring to? Like a fountain boat, a long, skinny. You'll see them in Miami with like 4 225 engines on the back.
Yeah.
And they're made for just getting from Cuban waters into American waters and dropping coke off and getting out of there. So I had seen these in the Coast Guard before and chased them many times. And so I knew exactly what it was as soon as we saw these boats. And I was like, oh boy. $60 though. So they had already unloaded whatever they needed to unload in Panama. And we got on and got under a tarp and headed. It was 8 hours straight, I remember, just as fast as we could go through the Sandblast Islands. Beautiful, beautiful scenery until I got into the jungles of Colombia, and that's where I was let off there.
Wow.
So that was good. It was a beautiful, beautiful time.
Dude, I'll tell you what, $60.
Mm-hmm.
That's a steal. That's kind of unbelievable.
60 American
that
dollars.
it would be $60.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to buy 8 hours of travel for $60?
Exactly.
Just zooming through. It's kind of.
I mean, when you're on like a drug boat, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
It comes with a little risk, I'm sure.
I mean, the guys, maintaining the boat, it's just like riding along with any fishers or anybody else, any other tradesman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are.
So you were just cruising for 8 hours, just fast.
Yeah, we stopped once on an island, and a chief came out and greeted us in the Sandblast Islands. Y'all can look the Sandblast Islands up; they're amazing. And we had some food, and then we got back in and just cruised on in.
Nice. And then when you got to Colombia, it was just like, thanks for the ride, guys. See you later.
No, we spent with those those tradesmen. We spent a great night together on the beach under a cabana, and we rented out a table and a whole cabana, and we just had food and a great time and great conversation. They want to know why I was doing what I was doing and why is a gringo doing this by himself, which a lot of people do, but it was the best time ever. We had one of the best nights of my life under that cabana in Cartagena that night, and we stayed up all night until the sunrise.
Wow, nice.
Together with these men.
Why were you trying to get it? Why'd you want to go to Colombia so bad that you were willing to risk?
I knew I wanted to get down to South America too. I knew I wanted to check out South America, and then everybody kept telling me Colombia is the best place in the world. That Colombia is the best place in the world. And it's sad because they say it's like the 19th most dangerous country in the world right now, and it's just garbage. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible there. It's paradise. And when I got there, it truly was everything I expected. It was like one of the first times in my life I wasn't let down. Like, had these high expectations. I get to Colombia, and it beat them all.
Wow.
It beat them all. The people, the culture. I mean, just everything about it was just beautiful. And I fell in love with Colombia right then and there. As I was in love with Nicaragua as well. And to this day, Nicaragua is very near and dear to my heart. Always will be.
Wow.
Dude, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then that's when you met your wife, right?
No, that was just one time going through South America.
Oh, okay.
I had gone that time and worked in Moncora, Peru. I lived in Quito, Ecuador for a while. And then I was down in Lima, Peru living. And then I came back up. I came back to the States because my mom had cancer, right?
Right, okay.
And so I came back up for a minute, and that's when I got hurt, and I had to recover. And as soon as I was recovered, I shot back down to South America and started going again. And that's when I met my wife.
Gotcha. So, okay, so you met Kelly after you broke your neck.
After I broke my neck, yeah.
So you were home. You came home. Your mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Yep.
You came home. You're sitting in your car at a red light.
Yes.
And just get rear-ended.
Yeah, no, they didn't hit the brakes. There was nothing for me to brace, so I get rear-ended, and the seatbelt broke my neck, and I got the hangman's fracture, broken C1, 2, and 3. So they fused me from the skull down to C5, and since then, those titanium rods have been broken as well. So that's the only reason I have movement in my neck is because the titanium has been broke. And so, I mean, it's a blessing, Wow. I can move my neck.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be good that the titanium's broken, though, right?
No, it's not good, or the screws come in and out of my skull and all this weird stuff, but at the same time, the bone has healed by now, right?
Okay,
the vertebrae have healed. So the titanium's in there. It's really sad, but you kind of just got to, unless it starts doing something crazy, they won't take, I mean, it's just not a surgery you want to just go into half-heartedly. You got to be in danger for your life. So I'll have to have surgery again, and I'll have to get refused again, but they're going to refuse me from the skull and way further down my back this time. So I'll be even more,
And you'll have better mobility in your neck after that?
No, zero.
Yeah.
Oh, zero
worse.
mobility.
Zero.
Worse. Fusing him from
from the skull
Lower.
way down to the middle.
So
of my
right now
back.
you're just
Why?
to what the
Why
C5.
would they do that?
Yeah.
Because what happens is when you have your neck fused, your spine will start to form like false joints, and once that happens, you can paralyze yourself. So they need to fuse them up.
Oh man.
And I'm not an expert with this stuff, but this is the stuff I hear. So I know this is in the future for me, that path. But I pray that, it'll be the perfect time when I do it. It has to happen,
Yeah.
Probably not what I would think. I would think it's the worst time ever.
Yeah.
Like always. But
So
it's
you
always
just
the perfect
you
time.
just decided, hey, I'm going back to South America with a broken
With
neck.
a broken neck.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Wow.
when I was in the hospital, I was looking for tickets online. I mean, I was going literally crazy, stir crazy to get back out into the free world and live life. And it's exactly what I did. As soon as I got my neck brace off, I was pretty much gone. I think like the next month I was gone. And then I was doing it again. That's when I met my wife. At that time I was in Medellin, Colombia, and I met her at a church. And I was teaching English at her church, and I was staying over in another neighborhood, and we just happened to meet, and she was in one of my English classes, and we hit it off. But then I headed to Argentina and was doing stuff down there, and then came back up and asked her parents if I could marry her.
Hot for a teacher. I like it. Yeah.
Well,
and how old is she?
Yeah,
What's the age
let's
difference?
establish this real quick.
Yeah.
24.
So when you guys met, how old was she?
She's 19. Why do you always?
I just want to establish this.
Yes.
Because it's wrong? Borderline?
No, yeah, it's not.
No. So and you were how old? 32?
At that time,
Yeah.
man, about 30. Yeah, something like that.
So
31.
31, 32.
32.
She's 19.
Yeah, we've been married, but so we meet and.
You're a predator at this point.
No, we had no idea each other's age. She was 19, and one thing is people mature much quicker in countries where they have nothing and they don't live under just this illusion of freedom and safety that we have
Right.
here. They grow up very quick, they mature quicker. And so I figured, she was at least 26, 27, maybe 28. And it wasn't until we knew we liked each other, I was like, how old? And she's like, I'm 19. But in her culture, she's like, it's normal. I mean, a lot of times the guys are a lot older. So I was like,
Right.
yeah, but not in my country. It's gonna
Well,
be
it's
real
funny. 'Cause
weird.
It's funny. I completely understand what you're talking about because I remember, hearing that you were like engaged or you got married.
Yeah.
You were engaged and you got married and everybody was like, oh, she's like 19 or 20. And, everybody's like, Stephen married a 19-year-old? Like, we're all kind of laughing. But we're like, of course he did. Stephen would go down to South America and find a 19-year-old Colombian.
Wasn't even like that. But yeah.
But when
That's exactly what it was like, though.
but when he came back with Kelly,
funny.
and then when we all met Kelly, and then Kelly even started working here at our church. I mean, I could totally see how you would think she was older. I mean, she's like mature. She's funny. She's like just got the best disposition. And so yeah, it was like, oh, okay,
I love it.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Like you weren't the predator that we thought you were.
Oh my gosh, you're awful. It's awful.
But Kelly is your wife's just incredible.
Oh man, she puts. My mom always said if someone's going to marry me, they'll have to be an angel because no one else can put up with me. And truly, she is, man. I'm very blessed. She
Yeah,
puts up
awesome.
with me.
Yeah,
I mean,
she
come
does.
on. She not only puts up with me, she absolutely is just incredibly patient and loving, and
And yeah, you guys have a 2-year-old.
we have a 2-year-old girl. She's got that Latina blood in her.
Yeah.
She's something.
Yeah.
She's fire. She's everything. She's awesome. Those two ladies are everything in my life.
That's so cool.
It's
Man.
incredible.
Yes.
Well, dude, that's so awesome, man. I love hearing that. That was like the one part of your life that I felt like I just didn't know anything about, and it was always just I would always hear stuff and hear little stories from people or kind of what you're doing down there, but I was like he's just roaming South America.
Yeah.
It just always seemed like something I would never do.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't just don't have the courage to do something like
I definitely
that.
don't have that drive either.
Yeah.
I'm fine being in where I don't mind visiting new places, but being where I'm at least comfortable and being around stuff and around people. But it's unique for you to be able to just say, hey, I know I want to do this and to just go and do it. Because there's so many people that wouldn't. They'll spend their whole life just thinking about it and talking about it. And
Well,
it's really cool.
So you do that. You go down there. You you're traveling down there, you're practicing martial arts, you're doing all these things that, you've always wanted to do. I was hearing all these little stories. You come back, your mom's sick, you come back home, you break your neck.
Yep.
You go back, you get married, you're still down in South America. And then you do the thing that blew my mind the most. You wrote a book. This thoroughly impressed me because I want to tell everybody a little bit about your book, because I read it. Somebody handed it to me and they said, "Hey, you need to check out Steven's book." And I was like, "Of course." I read it cover to cover in one shot, and it was amazing. Like, it just gave me so much insight onto your life, into your story, into just all your experiences. Just everything was just kind of, it was just bundled into a nice package that, that was easy to understand, and it really just, I don't know, it changed me. Like, just hearing that, I was shocked that I knew you. I was impressed.
Well, I appreciate that, but it was just a book. I just took a lot of my travel journals and I was putting stuff together and what was on my heart to write this book. And my whole goal of getting this out there is to encourage people that, this is a big, beautiful world we live in, and we're all creating God's image, and let's go experience it. Why are we so stuck in a rut? And I try to talk people in traveling all the time. I always say 1 year traveling is like 4 years of college. So that was one reason I wrote the book. Then also I wanted to get things known, and then if the book would sell, which, I would that money would be going to Nicaragua. So that was the real heart behind it, was to try to make a little money from Nicaragua. Just another way to try to get money to Nicaragua.
Right.
What
are some of the things that are going on in Nicaragua?
We're just having a civil uprising right now. Like we've talked about before, Central America was completely devastated by through the Reagan administration. Again, I'm not talking about any individual person here. I'm just talking about an administration. And they were completely destroyed. Just awful. And like to this very day, none of the countries in Central America have recovered. And this is why you have refugees coming now, because of our consumption. It's because of our consumption and our way of life that has put these people in this predicament. And now they're coming our way, and now we act like it's not our fault. It's like, let's take it back a few steps.
What in particular were some of the things that would cause? What was the downfall?
The Reagan era administration in Nicaragua. That was was that the Noriega? Was that time?
Well, you had that. You had the Contras. So you had people fighting. So this is when the U.S. was. This is Sandino. This is when. So they were thinking Nicaragua was communist, but they weren't. They were at that point. They were more of a democratic socialist, kind of like an anarchist syndicalist type, kind of. I guess it'd be hard to put a name on it, but it terrified the United States. I don't know why. That Sandino had these. Sandino was a man of, as far as I know, he's a man of God. Everything I read about him. And then we sent a whole bunch of people into Nicaragua, Central, South America. So, we basically just destroyed everything. It was that whole communist fear still. They're trying to push this. Oh, this is evil. This is so evil. This will destroy our way of life. Our way of life is the only thing that matters. It seems like the whole world revolves around us having a comfortable life. And that really bothers me, especially living in Nicaragua and these issues becoming super personal, because you have friends whose grandfathers died right there in the 80s on the street because people were dropping paratroopers in, killing these innocent people. So, but Nicaragua did win. The U.S. backed out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know much about any of that stuff.
Yeah, me either. I haven't really heard. That's why I'm asking. It's kind of a.
I just remember
lost.
Obviously you hear about the Contras and then Noriega, but I couldn't even really tell you what Noriega was the president of Nicaragua.
Not at that time. Nope.
But of Nicaragua at some time.
Yes. I have to
Got
get
that right.
I had to get. I had to literally look. There was
at some point.
There were. It was such a mess. It was such a mess down there, constantly. And we see the same thing in Mexico. When Porfirio Diaz was put in power, the great dictator, and Zapata had to rise up in Pancho Villa. It was kind of the same thing going on, except we were the ones, truly just, we just destroyed part of the continent, which is America. That's one thing you get is like you forget that's America too. People call it Central America. Are you from Central America? People will say I'm American. We'll say, well, I am too. What do you mean? We're all Americans. We're all on the same continent together, but we've done a real good job of dividing it up.
Yeah, man, I had no idea about that stuff. So that's just something that's been on your heart, and you're still
absolutely.
Nicaragua was just.
It all started with the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, my Cuban friends, my Nicaraguan friends, Nicaragua's got plenty of problems, politically and socially. But like I said, they're still trying to recover from the 80s era. So
nice. Well, dude, the other thing is you and me
mm-hmm.
got a little podcast thing going on too.
Yeah.
So what's one of the things with your podcast that you really want to like be able to accomplish, or like the people that you speak with, like what's something you want to see? What message are you trying to get across the most?
I really want to bring on people and encourage people with what they're doing in their pursuits. Love on people, encourage people, all people of the world, legal, illegal, all people created by God. I want to encourage people, bring people on, whether they're local business owners or artists or anything, and just listen to people's stories and hear about what they've been through, and it just continues to build our perspective, give us a better perspective on life and hearing the stories people go through. So I would like, that's a real thing on my heart my hobby, my passion is people. That's it. I just love that's what I've always liked. My parents used to say at Christmas time, what would we get Stephen for Christmas? Because, I never really wanted anything. And they said, only thing you can think is to get him an orphanage, which is pretty funny because I ended up, working in a few, and it's an absolute dream job. So, volunteering.
We call them children's homes now. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't.
I don't know.
Come on, dude. This isn't Oliver Twist.
I don't know what's appropriate anymore.
Orphanage. How insensitive. No, man, that's cool. That's awesome, man. And I'm so glad you came on here, and you've just been one of my best friends for such a long time. And, I just always thought your story was so interesting. But one thing I want to get to real quick is let's go back to fighting, because there's some things we need to talk about in the fighting world. First thing is, how do I get cauliflower ear?
Travel South America, man.
Because
travel Central America.
I have a standing rule, and that is I will never fight somebody with cauliflower ear. Let's be real. Like, if somebody's got cauliflower, they've seen some stuff.
Oh, they've been in the thick of it.
They've been in the thick
of it.
Yeah.
From a lot of wrestling and practicing.
They've been in the thick of it.
That's what it is. It's just from practicing.
So you just get nailed? Like, is it like on the ground, like just rubbing, or just getting hit?
Because you're always, when you're that involved in martial arts, you're constantly, breaking that cartilage in your ear and it's swelling and, forming the cauliflower ear. And so it's more, you get the worst in practice. And then usually if you're practicing for a tournament or something, then once you get to the tournament, it gets pretty bad because you've been just going so hard. But, that was one good thing about traveling Central and South America is, well, they don't really, I made up my mind right before I went that, like, I wasn't just going to, because too many people were getting, like, hurt. Like, I would hear about other people traveling by themselves, get hit with baseball bats and stuff, and I'm just like, for what, man? Like, so I just had it in my mind, as soon as anyone was going to try to do anything, that I would just go ahead and take my chances and just go ahead and fight. And that's kind of how I traveled. And
just fighting through Central and South America
with cauliflower ear.
No, there was a lot of the only country I didn't get into a fight in was Colombia.
Wow,
that's the real life of missions, following Jesus. But you can be a victim, and they're going to treat you like a victim, and it'll be bad, or you can just go ahead and fight and just not worry about getting,
right.
Try not to get hit in the face with a baseball bat.
If like you could quantify this, maybe throw a number on it, throw a percentage on this. What percentage of your cauliflower ear am I responsible for?
All of it.
All of it. Nice. I like to think. I felt like there were some times where I just had your face smash into the ground.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it was just okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Your ear was just rubbing.
sure.
Okay,
I mean, your parents' carpet was always stained with blood.
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Have you seen? What do you think? You follow? Obviously, I know you follow like UFC, MMA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Tito Ortiz Liddell rematch?
I heard about it. Yes,
What do you think about this?
it's going to be a hard one to watch. You know,
Because they're like 60
Old?
years old.
Yeah.
kinda, yeah. But I'm going to watch it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
You have to watch it.
Are they actually? When are they planning it? Is it like
It's coming
It's
up.
scheduled?
we're right there.
Really?
Yeah, we're right there. Their
It's
training
the
camps are
third
over, I
time
think.
they've fought.
yeah?
And it's split, right?
I think it's the fourth.
Is it the fourth time?
I mean,
I don't know. I think it's the third. I'm not sure. But in either way, you know, they had like a pretty good rivalry back in
yeah,
the prime.
yeah.
And
Saturday.
yeah,
It's this Saturday.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
their training camps are done. They're resting, getting ready to
yeah,
go for
this
it.
Saturday. So.
Dude, that I might actually have to watch that because I mean those two. I mean they're massive catalysts for what the UFC is today. It's
Absolutely,
huge.
you know it's like
absolutely.
Ortiz. He's such a character too. I mean Liddell too, but I just remember watching Ortiz. I watched a whole documentary before I even really knew anything about the UFC. That guy's fascinating. He's
Absolutely. He was very brilliant in the way he sold his character
Yeah.
himself. You know, he kind of set a standard in that way, that in that style of, you know, you have your martial artists that are super respectful, and then you have other dudes that are just like, you know, they really turned into an entertainment. You
Yeah.
know, making it entertainment. So
yeah, he did a great job of that for
Yes, he
sure.
did.
Wow. It
I
might
mean,
be interesting though.
And I feel like Chuck Liddell, in my mind anyway, he was like the first like big superstar. I mean, I think he was the one that really brought it, in
Yeah.
my mind, to that mainstream.
that's when I think, yeah.
You know, he
that's
was the
when-
one that everybody knew his name. He was like the scariest dude.
Yep.
And you know, Tito Ortiz was up there. Randy Couture was up there.
Oh.
That whole time frame. But man,
But
those-
Chuck was-
Chuck hasn't fought since 2010. So,
Correct.
Wow.
but they're both pretty old. They're both in their 40s.
2010.
I feel like the last few fights Chuck Liddell got into, he got mopped up.
That's
Oh,
what
probably.
he had some bad concussions and knockouts. Tito's fought recently. I mean, so Tito's
Right.
game. So it's going to be interesting. To
Well,
see.
I saw him in an interview, both of them together, and Tito, they were kind of talking a little bit of trash, and Tito Ortiz was like, I've never stopped training and I've never stopped fighting.
No, he
so
doesn't.
Good luck, buddy.
He doesn't.
You know,
Yeah,
gosh,
he,
dude,
he's a grinder.
Such an iconic look too. I mean that mohawk is just intimidating.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, I'm not
And he has
I'm
the
not messing
scariest
with
eyes
that.
ever.
either. Dude. I honestly, if you see that guy in Walmart, like I'm turning aisles. Like it doesn't matter what I need to get. I'm leaving.
his
I'm
eyes
just
are the
leaving my
scariest thing I've
cart
ever
and I'm
seen.
walking out. Yeah,
Seriously. Yeah. Straight up beast
that
right
dude,
there.
strong chin too.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh,
Hopefully it's still strong.
I'm sure. it
What's your
is.
prediction?
Man, I mean, I think Tito's going to take it.
I do too.
Yeah. You know,
By
if it's back
KO,
back in the
TKO?
day, I would always say Chuck. But at this time,
I think Tito's going to knock him out.
I think it's going to be
He's gonna knock him
TKO.
out. Yeah.
Well, I think like a stoppage.
Yeah,
Like
I
a
think it'll
fight
be a
stop.
stoppage.
Okay, so TKO.
Yeah, but a TKO, because I mean Tito's still been training and fighting this whole time, and man, the last few fights that Liddell had before he retired or whatever, he didn't look good.
yeah.
He looked
He got knocked out bad.
he got knocked
Yeah.
out. He just looked he didn't have any pop. He just looked slow.
Well, the sport catches up. It's just like skateboarding. It's progressing. You know, since they're new sports, you know, they're just progressing so quick that it's so hard to keep up.
Right.
You know, MMA is so hard to keep up. Like the new guys are like aliens coming out. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's always a new level coming up, and to be able to stay on top of that is pretty much impossible. Just like skateboarding.
It does make me sad though, and one thing that like a guy like Conor McGregor's able to do is he's able to bring people that aren't necessarily UFC fans or fighting fans, and he's built himself up enough, to where like people are just going to watch him because it's him.
Right.
Yes.
Big followings on social media, that kind of thing. He's marketed himself super well, and guys like this back in the day, same sort of thing where they just they transcended the sport that they were in.
Yes.
But like right now, and that's the reason that a fight like this is, I guess, at least a big deal, because there's not that many guys that, especially in the UFC, even that are building up their their characters and their brands the way that these guys did, and transcended the sport. Even, McGregor's the only current guy really that like is kind of jumping out. Everybody else is just I don't even really know.
He was absolutely brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Whether you love him or hate him, I mean that's what he's done for the sport is getting everybody paid more.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I mean
outside of team sports,
yeah, I'm not a big
you
team
need
sports.
you need to have characters.
yes, exactly.
And it's not even like wrestling characters. They don't have to, but you have to have like this human interest side of things. You have to have something that I don't know that people can kind of root for, identify with. I mean, not that like Tiger Woods was a character, but he was just he stood out.
Yeah.
And he was so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, look what he did to golf.
Yeah.
I mean, golf was huge when
exploded,
Tiger was on top.
and now it's actually on a decline.
Right.
Because I mean, over the last, now Tiger's making a comeback, but I mean, there was a long time there was the big Tiger boom.
Yeah,
and
I
now
love
it's like
Tiger.
it's still falling off. But like, there's young guys that are still playing, and they're good. But it's the same thing that I'm talking about here. You have a couple of those guys over the course of a couple decades that just transcend, and they blow it up and make it what it is.
Or if it's not like if it's not like a character, it's somebody that takes it to the next level.
Yes.
And then until everybody catches up to that, like they're going to be on top. And I think the sport, because Tiger took golf to the next level,
Yep.
Yes.
and now people have caught
Yeah.
up to that.
Absolutely.
These guys, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, they took that sport to the next level.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
now people have caught up to that. They've surpassed that.
Yeah.
But it seems that people are a little bit more, on the same playing field
Exactly.
in those areas. I even said that like when poker first
About
came
poker,
out.
yep.
It was kind of the spectator thing because you had these characters. And
Yes.
then you had guys that took it to the next level. Now everybody's really good, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like, you're just
got a bunch of
watching
math nerds.
You're
just
watching
sitting
a bunch
around.
of like math wizards play it. It's
Yeah.
just not as fun to watch because
Yeah.
you don't have those characters.
Yeah, that's sad, man. It is. But what are the odds that and obviously it happens every generation where there's somebody that does come in and does something that, because I see it in the NBA now, where like obviously I'm a huge basketball fan. You add Jordan, you get Kobe, LeBron. And so now it's like, okay, well, LeBron's still killing it. Who's going to be that guy that could take it as far or further? And it's like you have a lot of talented guys, but is there anybody that's really like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it feels like every generation's always just waiting.
Just right.
Just waiting. for,
LeBron's
like-
son's gonna be the one that takes it the next
Dude,
step.
he might, man.
He is something.
He might, I'm exciid for this fight though, dude. It would.
You guys
it's-
want to get together and watch it?
Yeah, I'm Ortiz in this ordeal. You're definitely Liddell.
No, I'm Ortiz.
No. I already called dibs.
Okay. All right. Fine. Fine.
Done.
So
I just don't like. I don't keep up with it, especially when I was traveling. I didn't keep up with it much. I'm just not a sports fan.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
I've never been a sports fan. I just can't. I cannot get into sports. I do like to watch soccer, and I like to watch wrestling. Collegiate
That's why you're not a
wrestling.
sports fan.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well,
A 2 hour snoozer, man.
Well, American football. I just never understood. Not that it's hard to understand. It's really
Right.
easy to understand. It's just you got to get the ball to there and then bring it back and get it there.
What was it? 2010 was that the U.S. World Cup team that was kind of promising?
It would have been 12 or 10.
It was
10.
10.
Yeah, because
2010.
we just had the World Cup this year.
Yeah, so
That's
2010,
right.
and that year. I tried. I was like, I'm going all in.
I watched a ton of it that year. Yeah.
I'm going all in. I'm gonna
So
be like,
good.
I'm gonna be the U.S. soccer fan. I'm gonna like, all my buddies were like, they were talking about it, and I would like, I'd show up to where they were watching the game, and I was like, I just can't.
You got to pick another team, man.
But I mean,
I
I wanted to
can't
root
do
for.
it.
I wanted to root for the red, white, and blue.
I mean, I did too. I want to see him do as good as he can, but it's just there's levels.
Yeah.
clearly.
Dude, yeah, America's not there. The thing is, dude, we have some of the best athletes in the entire world, I would argue.
Absolutely.
The problem is nobody's playing soccer.
It's
Now-
starting to now.
Yeah, so now you're starting to see where, like, dude, if you had some of those athletes
Ooh.
that are playing professional football, that are playing basketball,
Fighting, any of it.
even yeah, dude, if you had some of those guys that from the age of like 8
Mm-hmm.
to 10, even started playing
Oh,
soccer, dude,
oh.
we'd be on top of the
We-
world.
absolutely.
For sure. But now that football's starting to fall off because everybody's like scared of concussions and all that
Right.
CTE and stuff, less kids are playing football nowadays, and soccer's been exploding.
It has
Like
been
young
exploding.
people,
So now we're going to get to see kids been playing like in other countries since they were 2 and
Exactly.
3 years old.
Yeah.
And they're going to just
Yeah.
I guarantee you in 15 years or so, they're just going to be.
Yeah, it's
we're
definitely
see
going to
some-
take time though.
It's
for
going to
sure.
take
15
time, but
years
man,
sounds
ooh,
about
boy,
right.
it's going to be something.
Well, my son, he's this is his second season. He's getting ready to start of soccer, but he just finished his flag football season, and like their team went undefeated. He loved it, man. He was rushing for touchdowns.
Yeah.
He played both
That's
ways,
awesome.
defense and offense. Had a great time. And you know I sent my wife this text just a few days ago, but I said, hey, can we just be on the same page that like we're not going to let him play tackle football? And I'll tell you what, a year ago, I was the guy that was like, this CTE stuff. So, you know, I was kind of like, hey, let the kids play football. You know what I mean? They've been doing it for a long time. And just in the last year, I'm like, let's play soccer. You know, I'm telling you, I really don't want my son taking like shots to the head.
Dude, but I mean, you get that in almost any sport.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like football,
The goal of
disproportionately,
football is to take shots to the head.
that's not true at all. And they've taken massive strides in terms of the technology and actually like the tackling form.
The tackling
So over the
form,
last
yeah.
year, you're going to see over the next few years where it's getting better. Obviously, you're going to take a shot to your head in pretty much any sport. It happens in basketball too. You know, it's not a contact sport, but it happens. And again, the evidence on CTE is pretty inconclusive. So I understand where like, yeah, we can find CTE and X, Y, and Z, and they're experiencing this and they're experiencing this. Can this be the cause? But we don't know that. And so like, dude, I don't know why you'd want to, put a little mini skirt on your son and say, hey, dude, let's not play tackle football.
I mean, I feel the same. I feel the same way, and I'm not even a football fan. I mean, I believe, if somebody wants to do something, I mean, these are the consequences. Skateboarding, there's consequences to skateboarding.
Huge.
You're going to have horrible knees when you're older. I mean, this is life, and you got one chance. You got one little vapor to live.
Yeah.
And if you love playing football, man, go out there and take hits to the head, man. Live a good life. Play the sport you love. Same thing with fighting, boxing.
Yeah.
It's all good, man.
I mean, dude, the guys that are complaining about it now literally made careers and made like their prime was taken up doing something that they loved and they were great at.
That's not true. Those are the guys that we're hearing about because they were high profile.
Yes.
But there were guys that never played past high school. They played junior varsity and varsity and are having a ton of problems, and we're just not hearing.
I think it's everybody's different because my older brother played Division I college football. He told me about times in high school where he was literally concussed. He knew it, and he was telling the coach, "No, I'm fine." And he would go back out there, and it happened multiple times. And he played. So in Ohio, where we kind of grew up, you could start playing tackle football at the age of 7. So he literally, we have a tape of him at 7 years old, the helmet and shoulder pads on, playing in the Bengals stadium in Cincinnati for like their whole like state championship thing
incredible.
for 7-year-olds. So he'd been playing for like, 11, 12, 13 years by the time he was done. And he doesn't have any CTE problems, and he got hit in the head all the time. So I think you have to look at a person-to-person basis too. We can't because it's not true for everybody. There are people that played for 20 years, 25 years of their life and don't have any problems, and then there's some people that played for 5 and obviously have some issues. So like we can't sit here and say that like football concussions are the only reason that they have all these issues because it's inconclusive. We don't know that.
Okay, but I just don't want to roll the dice with my kid. I fully understand that. You know what I mean? I fully understand that like everybody is different and not everybody is going to, not everybody's going to commit suicide and not everybody is going to, turn into Aaron Hernandez and commit homicides because of brain injuries. But a lot of times people that they say a kid or a guy or whoever is already prone to depression or anxiety, it can just magnify those things. It can make them worse. It can make little things that are wrong with your brain major things that are wrong with
I
you.
could
That's what
definitely
it
see
seems
that.
like.
I could definitely see that. But like, I think over the long term, and especially with the improvement in technology and the improvement in where the big goal isn't to put in flags and penalties whenever guys in the NFL or in college make these big hits. They have to do that, which they're doing now, which is kind of frustrating because it's all. But the biggest thing is that they're trying to get it down the line so that the Pee-wee coaches are teaching their kids how to tackle. And that's the big
Correctly,
thing,
yes.
you know? And so like it's the same thing like with you're literally having kids and coaches that are having to relearn the game and having to restructure the way that they play. So dude, over the next 10 years, it's going to be completely different.
Same's happened in fighting. A lot of the best fighters in the world don't even spar anymore. They just drill, hit mitts, drill jiu-jitsu, drill wrestling.
Yeah, there's no reason to take those unneeded shots to the head or the face whenever you don't have to.
Okay, but outside of football and combat sports, if you, you can hit your head in basketball, you can hit your head in doing anything, but that would be an accident if it happens in basketball. Like nobody's like in football and in combat sports, somebody's head is the target. I mean, people are leading with their head. People are. So, I mean, if you're tackling, you're leading with your head. If you're getting tackled, you're getting hit in the head. I mean, that's part of football. And obviously, we know combat sports. I mean, outside of just jujitsu or wrestling,
right?
You know,
but again,
you're taking shots to the head.
Again, you can kind of make that statement, but it's still not completely true because guys are being taught not to lead with their head, and most of the guys aren't. So you're talking about you're saying something as a fact that's actually not. And also, just a break.
Wait, what?
Guys aren't leading with their head.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed
you said
to.
straight up that like the whole point is to lead with your head and get hit in the head, which no football player or football coach would ever tell you that that's the whole point. They would want to rock you.
I can tell you that maybe the coach isn't telling you that, but I could bring up probably 200 leading with your head hits of just this NFL season. We could pull up on YouTube right now.
Yeah, maybe not 200. And again, it's a vast improvement from
I
what
beg to
5 years
differ.
ago was.
And you know what?
And hold on. And I was going to let it go untouched, but I can't. Aaron Hernandez didn't kill people because he had
I'm not saying he
concussions.
did.
Yeah.
No, but
I
you
wasn't saying
kind of
that.
did, though. You kind of did. You kind of gave him a scape. You made it a scapegoat
No,
for the
no,
fact
no.
that like he killed people because he had CTE in his brain. Dude, and he killed himself? Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
No,
That's an
actually,
outlandish
The
claim.
context I said is that I'm not worried about somebody, necessarily everybody killing themselves or committing a homicide. I'm not saying that those were even that CTE even caused that. Or I'm not even saying that was a contributing factor. I'm saying that I'm not even concerned about those areas. And don't tell me what I said. Second of all, I've hung out with your brother, and you can't tell me he doesn't have a mild case of CTE. I love you, Cody.
That's funny.
Mild.
Dude,
mild.
It really is so different for everybody. How your career goes.
Yeah.
How many shots you take. I mean, are you smart about your career? Are you smart about how you play or fight?
Yeah.
Or do these things?
Not 1 week ago, I watched your brother eat about 8 bunless hot dogs dipped in barbecue sauce, and you're going to say he doesn't have CTE. You're going to sit there
I can
and
see
say he doesn't have
It is what it
CTE.
is. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man.
And don't tell me that I'm putting my son in a mini skirt because your brother played at Tulane, so you might as well have played in a mini
Division
skirt.
One
What?
football.
I like Tulane.
That's unbelievable,
Gosh,
dude. Get out of here, man.
It's Tulane, baby.
Jeez, dude, you couldn't even grow a mustache till you were 30.
Okay.
What kind of
I
man are
accept that.
you,
I
dude?
accept that.
Get out of here.
That is true.
Gosh,
He's
no,
like Benjamin Button.
I just it frustrates me that like whenever the whole sport, it's still the biggest sport in America, and I
Yes.
get it. I love football. But it makes me sad whenever it's like everybody's abandoning it, and I get it. It's not for everybody. I quit the year that I started tackle football. I was a stud in flag football, because I'm
Nice.
quick. I got the moves. I'm intelligent, and I was just a ball hawk, dude. I knew where to go, interceptions. I was a running back. It is what it is. Got into my first week of practice in tackle football, and I was in 6th grade at the time, and this 8th grader kid, his name was Coffee. And he was a running back, and I was a defensive back, and he split, got to the outside, and I was the last thing to stop him from getting a touchdown.
Oh man.
And I slide tackled him because I didn't want to. I
Soccer
couldn't lay the
baby.
wood. I was tiny, dude. What am I supposed to do? So I slide tackled him.
brilliant.
He stood up, dude, got in my face and threatened my life. And I was like, you know what, dude? I don't. He said, if you ever do that, I was like, you know what, dude? I'm done with this. I don't like it anymore. I'm gonna go play some golf.
Yeah. Don't ever fight somebody with cauliflower ear, or don't ever fight a guy named Coffee.
Dude, it was the most.
Oh.
it was,
Those are rules.
yeah, and then you scared to death.
Yeah, look at.
I mean,
you played golf in high school. What'd you do there? Just worked on your giant butt.
Wow.
Getting that thing bigger.
Dude, look, here's the deal,
Cool,
man.
dude.
It doesn't matter what I did to stop it. My butt was gonna be big. I had a predisposition to having big thighs and a big butt.
Childbearing thighs.
Yeah, I
got
do.
birthing hips.
Oh, you're right.
Birthing hips. I like that.
Yeah, but dude, we'll see some changes over. But football may be eclipsed as our America's biggest sport.
It might be.
I don't know that it's going to be baseball, but the NBA has definitely been climbing a lot.
Yes, it has.
And we'll see how soccer goes over the next 10, 20 years, because the more kids play, the more kids want to watch. And so over the course of the next couple decades, dude, you're probably going to see a big switch.
I have a solution. I have a solution to the problem in football. Hits to the head.
What?
We need to go back to leather helmets without face masks.
Honestly, you're
If you went back to leather helmets
Like rugby.
without
Look at
face
rugby.
masks,
Yep.
you wouldn't have that. I mean, you wouldn't.
nobody's
have the same
leading
kind
with
of
their head.
issues.
Nobody.
Nobody's leading with their head. Nobody.
Yep.
I mean, nobody's going for a headshot.
You have to
Now-
do it with perfect technique, or you're going to knock yourself out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And I still think the game would be exciting.
Oh, I still think it would too. It definitely would still have the problem. I think you'd still have the same problem with concussions and stuff, because even if you get hit in the shoulder, in the head,
Right.
which is legal now,
Right.
that's going to be
Your head hitting the
flying
ground.
full speed, because UFC, you can only pick up so much speed from one side of the octagon to the other.
Right.
But like if it's a punt and you're running downfield 45 yards full speed and then just getting blasted, one little hit to the neck or something like that, dude, you're probably
Right.
So I get where you're going though,
Leather
because
helmets.
it would definitely make you.
Rugby's a quite interesting sport. I love that. I do like to watch that a little bit.
Gosh, dude, it just seems like
I still
just straight up
understand the rules.
backyard, like you're just tossing the ball up. If you're about to go down, it's almost like that. What do they used to call that? We called it like suicide or something, where it's like
You just keep pitching it back.
Yeah, dude.
When I was in Qatar, we had all this like European TV that got piped into the base, and so there was a lot of rugby. We had some Australian rule football, even though I know they're not Europe, but and we had these Australian guys that worked with us, and I was like, all right, explain to me what's going on, and they were explaining it to me, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I'd still don't
I had
get
to
it.
do the same thing. I had to
Here's-
ask.
Yeah.
So cricket, try to figure this game out.
Nah.
So there's like two ways.
That's
to
like
play
a
cricket.
real. That's like a real man's baseball. Right
Just
there.
just when you think
Cricket
you got
is
like
nuts.
you understand cricket, because there's like a way to play it. I don't know if it's like a different league, or I don't know I don't know, but there's like the regular like game of cricket, which can be played in like 2 to 3 hours, like a regular sporting event. And then there's like a type of cricket that could take anywhere from like 2 days to like 11 years or something like that. It's like crazy. It'll go long. It's like it'll go days. So it's
Wow.
like the
And
third day that like India and Nigeria are playing their cricket game, and you're
It's
like,
the
you have
same
no
game?
idea what's going on.
It's the same
game.
It's not like a series.
I don't think so. I think it's the same game,
I'm-
but it's a different like way to play it. Like there's two ways to play it. You can play
That
like
second way sounds dumb.
Yeah, I tried to
Sounds
watch
pretty
it.
stupid.
Those guys are
Cricket is amazing though. Like you're talking about no gloves.
Yeah.
How heavy and hard is that ball they use being pitched and hit? I mean, that's a scary. That's a sport I wouldn't play.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Dude, they say that the most and you can argue whether or not it's a sport. I would in fact argue, but they say that the most dangerous sport is actually like that competitive like cheerleading kind of thing. They say there's more injuries in that than any other sport.
Wow.
Throughout high schools.
in competitive cheerleading.
You're
I
getting
know.
thrown in the air.
I was
Yeah.
surprised too, dude.
Well, I guess when
There's-
you're launching a human in the air of 30 feet. and
Yeah,
trying to catch
they
him.
they say I forget. I read it was a study that was done back whenever I was in high school because our health coach brought it up. But like, I remember they literally talked about it where it was like over the course of like 2 decades they did a study, and the most injuries in any given sport in high school was like that competitive cheerleading thing, which is
Really?
kind of nuts. Yeah. So once
That
you put
is
the mini
cool.
skirt on your son and he wants to join the competitive cheerleading circuit, I would just take it easy and probably tell him, go play football. You have a better
You
chance.
have a better shot because you may take a tumble off that
You got a
that
better
7-story pyramid.
You got a better chance. Dude.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, sorry, I know. I'm just kidding. It's your son's birthday today too, and I'm just wrecking
is.
him on.
It
here.
is.
He'll never
that's
hear
right.
this. It's
Happy
sad.
birthday, buddy.
Yeah,
8 years old.
he's a beast, dude.
He's
8 years old
amazing.
today.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. Who would ever thought?
My 4-year-old daughter just started soccer too. That's her first organized.
That's
sport.
legit.
That's
She's
awesome.
on a co-ed team.
She's kind of psycho too, dude. She might make it.
Yeah.
She could do
I
something.
just don't know what she's gonna do if like her team colors aren't pink. She's already got like pink cleats and
She's ready
she
to
won't
go.
wear anything but pink.
That's so
She
cute.
refuses to wear anything. but
Really?
pink. It's
Oh, I love it. That's so
Yeah, it's
awesome.
kind of a good thing though.
so
Yeah.
she's cool.
I love it.
Brian, what's up, man?
What's up?
You got any news for us?
Yeah, this one made me laugh. Police lock up angry raccoons drunk on crabapple hooch until they sober up. That's a real headline.
Until they.
Police lock up angry raccoons. They were drunk on crab apple hooch.
What is crabapple hooch first?
How
It's like
is that type of-
fermented apples that have just like grown, and then they eat them.
Hooch, just like in prison.
so
buck.
they weren't like they were eating these apples that were just
Yeah, that
fermented?
just had fermented like juices inside.
Dang, dude, I want to know
They-
what like a whole bunch of drunk raccoons looks like.
How does it look any different than sober raccoons? Dude, raccoons
How
are
do you
nuts.
how do you look at their? That's what I want to know. How
Well,
different was like?
they thought they were a rabbit at first.
Oh,
So there were reports of that, and then
okay.
they finally found out they were probably just drunk.
Oh man, that is wild.
Yeah,
You see a couple of them just like start, and they're like, "Oh, are those raccoons fighting?
Just
They have to be
stumbling
drunk."
around.
Like, you know,
They're puking and
A
fighting.
drunk raccoon.
It's like-
you know, a couple of years ago, one night, our dog Randy, rest in peace, love you, Randy. He was. I heard him on. It was like the middle of the night. He was on our back porch, which is like screened in, but we have like a doggy door on the back porch so he can go in and out. And he was on the back porch and he was just like barking, and I was like, what is happening right now? And I go outside and I look up, and inside our patio, you've been out there,
Yeah.
inside the patio, up on the screen, inside was a raccoon
Oh.
just standing there. And I was like,
they're weird, dude.
you know what? I just
Yeah,
all I
they
did is I
are.
walked back inside. I shut the door. I actually shut the doggy door that goes into our house.
They could
and
tear
I'm like,
you up.
I'm like, I'm not even messing with this thing.
No
It's
way.
3:00 in the morning. I'm not about to get into it with the raccoon.
No,
Dude, there's no-
They're
I
like
wouldn't
stand like
anyways.
people, and they have like little hands.
So they could
like,
just
like
tear
people's
you
hands.
up.
they're
They
so
can-
weird, dude. They're so odd.
Trash pandas.
They just steal all the stuff in our garage all the time. They just like
Yeah.
go take things.
yeah, they'll literally, yeah.
and
They're
somebody's out
crazy.
there serving
They're
them
cute as can
booze.
be.
Yeah, dude. I want to see a group of blitzed raccoons. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
They're
Gosh.
cute though.
They are so cute.
Okay.
Not so much.
I mean,
Not to me,
Imagine
no.
if they were like they weren't vicious, horrible trash pandas, and you would actually like you could hold one. Like
No,
they're
I
kind of
wouldn't.
cuddly looking.
still
Look at that
wouldn't.
little guy.
I still wouldn't. No.
So so they were locked up till they sobered up, and then they were let back out.
They have a
That's so
Yeah.
funny. That is
tank-
actually funny.
Drunk tank for raccoons, man.
Yeah, the raccoon drunk tank.
That's incredible.
Gosh, I love that.
At
That's
least
pretty
it-
They
funny.
released this. This was actually released, like mugshot of one of the raccoons. They were looking for this raccoon.
They were actually looking for that raccoon.
Yeah,
Like
he's got.
Drunk and disorderly.
Yeah,
public
Oh,
urination.
guys just love to eat crab apples.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I love it. Dope.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're cute. They're like they're not possums, so that's good.
Yeah, possums are disgusting too.
They
I
hit.
thought they were cute too.
Ugh.
no.
Those
I don't think
things
so.
Gross me out.
Really?
Yeah.
Armadillo?
No,
they're
gross
kind
still.
of creepy.
Yeah. We used to have them under our deck all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, scared the crap out of me too because you just go running outside, all of a sudden, oh,
Yeah. They're-
it's frightening.
The first time you see an alive armadillo, you're kind of like, huh.
Yeah, it's weird.
I've never seen a live armadillo. But I mean, you see them like so much around here dead on the road.
Yeah,
But then like at night, there'll just be one like scurrying around. It's kind
Yeah.
of weird.
They're strange little fellas.
I hate it. What's
I hate
this?
possums. What is this?
Oh, that's nothing.
Oh.
But I do have another story.
Okay.
What?
A 69-year-old Dutch man attempts to legally lower his age to 49.
Nice.
He says This is a quote from the guy. He says, "When I'm 69, I am limited. If I'm 49, then I can buy a new house, drive a different car." He said, "I can take up more work. When I'm on Tinder and it says I'm 69, I don't get an answer. When I'm 49 with this face I have, I will be in a luxurious position."
Yeah, see, this is the trouble that you run into. The more lax that like the different laws come on gender and on sexual orientation and those kinds of things. Where like now it's basically just an open book, write in whatever you want, and we just have to like accept it. Because now what's in stopping this guy to just legally lower his age?
Well, I mean, if you can change
Who
your
gives a
gender,
rip?
if
Yeah,
you can change
that's
your
what I'm
gender at
saying.
the
You
drop
can
of a
change
hat.
anything.
He brings that up to the court, and he says, "I want to be legally recognized because I feel abused, aggrieved, and discriminated against because of my age." So he's saying like my age is a factor. So like I just want to be able to change it because I feel different.
What
I don't
country is
feel-
this guy from?
I think it's the
The
U.S.
Netherlands.
What a
Something like that.
surprise.
Oh, Dutch.
Is he Dutch?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
it Dutch,
Dutch, man.
Dutch
A
dude.
Dutchman.
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 He's a Dutchman.
Dutch
Um,
masters.
You know, I more power to him.
I think it.
Really? Dude,
I-
I'm
I
here's
think
the
it's
deal.
ridiculous. I think he's just trolling just to make a
Oh,
point.
probably.
He might just be. I mean,
Probably.
because, but you never know in these
Yeah.
these days. You
I
just
mean,
never
what we
know.
have people that are changing their race.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that,
I don't
that,
understand
that one
how that-
girl,
I don't.
Lee.
I don't understand how
what's her name? Lee something. That
how,
girl
how
that
science they preach science their whole life, and now science doesn't matter about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what is that?
Yep.
That's just absolutely crazy, and the laws of logic that are conceptual realities and not conventions of humans are thrown out the door,
Yep.
thrown out the window. So
Yeah.
we don't even have the law of identity.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
this
just
is
all in the name of tolerance and acceptance and like
tolerance is intolerant. Very,
yeah,
very
And so,
intolerant.
dude. And also, I'd never want to hang out with this guy ever.
Well,
anybody that unless he's just making a big joke, like a big practical joke, and it's just this big scheme. I never want to run into that dude because it just seems like it would be.
Maybe he'd
so
be a good first fight
frustrating.
for you.
I would fight that.
He's
guy.
49.
Yeah, I'd want him to say he's 49 before the fight too.
Yeah.
because you don't want to beat up a 70-year-old, but if you beat up a guy that's like 50, then it's like
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot
if
of
I beat up you, I'd be like a 50-year-old.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So
Okay.
essentially, same.
All
thing.
right.
That might be a good one.
I'm changing it to.
That might be a
I
good
do
one.
need to get into a
I'm
fight,
changing
man.
to 21.
I gotta get into a fight.
I think though that this kind of he's just putting up he's putting up a mirror in front of the world. showing
I
how
hope
stupid this
that's
stuff
what
is.
he's doing. I hope
Because
that's what he's doing.
I mean, yeah. If you can just change your gender at the drop of a hat, or you can change your race now, apparently. and
Yeah,
you
it
can
doesn't
say-
matter. We
You can
just-
be whatever color you want.
Just have to be
or
accepted.
So now,
You can be whatever gender you want. Now you can be whatever age you want. Which with all that makes sense.
Yeah, and I actually
How are
watched.
you going to tell somebody what they feel?
Yeah,
Hey, if I
Hey,
feel
he feels
like
49,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what's
should
up
be
with
able to
what's up with
identify
all
as
this
49.
feeling?
yeah, and that's I watched a short video on a dude that believed that he was a 6-year-old girl or like a 7-year-old girl, and he was like in his 40s.
yeah,
And
I
it's
saw
like,
that.
dude,
That guy is just weird.
but we can't draw the line anywhere because now we've opened it up so much that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you just have to accept everyone for exactly how they feel. Yeah, and that's so dangerous.
Absolutely, emotions are such
So
fickle
dangerous.
things. We know
Yeah.
emotions are not permanent things. This is
Yeah.
it's absolutely it's very dangerous, and it goes against. I don't care what you believe in, but I heard an atheist have the best argument probably on this of anybody I've ever heard, just saying that we know, from an atheist point of view, that what is natural, what is in the natural world and how things work. And it's common and it's known to us, which is actually what we hear in the Bible too.
Yep.
All the hidden, all the attributes of God, we see, we know what is, there's something in us, there's that moral standard that's in all of us. And then there's the fallen nature. And then there's our feelings that seem to be the top priority here in the
Yep.
United States. They don't have such problems all around the world. A lot of it comes from entitlement.
Yeah.
A lot of this, it comes directly from entitlement. You can
Absolutely.
have or be whatever you want, do whatever you want. And then, yes, we're going to say yes to you, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Kids are idolized. Parents idolize their children here. It's, it's the land of entitlement. So why not? Let them run with it. We'll see where it goes.
Well, and it may obviously America. as a whole probably does have that problem overall, but you probably run into that with some of the other bigger countries as well. You probably run into it in the UK a little bit. You probably, places that are a little bit more well off. But everybody has something, and in different communities, it's going to look different. So, like here in the US, it might just be like, hey, things, gratification might be just that kind of hedonism, where it's just like I'm just living to please myself, which you can do here,
right?
In like a place like Colombia or Nicaragua. Obviously, it's a lot harder to live for what pleases you,
right?
Because it's not as easily attained. But there's obviously in different communities, everything looks different. So they're probably not running into this situation in Nicaragua because there's more important
this
things.
Is just, I mean, this guy, if he's even serious, this is just, I mean, it's just indicative.
Was it you? Did you do this? Is it you?
That's me. Actually, I feel like a 65-year-old African American woman.
Ooh.
I'm going the full change.
Full change.
Full.
Let's
I'm going
do it.
full. But I mean, it's just, this is what happens when people are just completely led by their feelings.
Yep.
And there's and unchecked.
Yep.
It's like
nobody around them.
Nobody. It's just it doesn't matter. Anything that you want, anything that you feel. They just kind of go down these roads and these paths, and
Yep.
It's going crazy.
But
man.
if it works, this age one,
It's going to be bad.
I might try it.
I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
You honestly,
I'm getting old, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but both of you guys could pass for 28. I think you could.
I'll identify.
I think you
I'll
could.
identify as a 28-year-old for sure.
Yeah.
I can fight like a 25-year-old.
Can you?
So watch out.
I mean, you talk a lot of talk. I've just never seen you move.
Yeah.
You say you run these marathons and stuff. I've literally never watched you run ever.
Have you ever watched anybody run a marathon?
Yeah, of course. I've watched a bunch of people run though.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know, dude. I don't know. Your legs are kind of floppy. So
Brian, what else you got? Anything?
That's it.
That's it, huh?
wow,
What about people getting arrested for feeding the homeless all over the United States?
is that happening?
It's been happening constant.
Really?
For feeding the homeless?
Yeah, they've even in Tallahassee they're talking about having, I mean, they're doing it right now, laws where you can't just give away food anymore to people in the streets because you don't have a license saying this is healthy or all this kind of
Really?
stuff. So we're seeing it over and over again, and there's been multiple pastors arrested. There's we're at this point. Another thing that I think is just absolutely insane is something that's going on right now.
I would hope that would even stop with who's the police officer or whoever, the law enforcement that would respond to that and make an arrest?
And what judge is going to hold that up?
Gosh,
too?
I hope that.
I hope. Yeah.
I hope that stuff doesn't ever.
Yeah,
I hope
that
nobody's
seems-
ever prosecuted for something like giving food to.
We're just
homeless person.
nerfing the world, man. Joe Rogan was so right, man. We're just nerfing everything, and it's just getting worse.
Yes, and I think that's a lot of the reasons why my heart is always so torn to why I love living in places like Colombia. I mean, China's amazing. When I was there in China, I mean, something over here is just so off. Maybe I don't know, man. Maybe it's just that's what happens in empires, man. This is just.
Well, I think it comes down to. It comes down to people feel they need to protect. They need to protect.
What's
They
theirs.
think they're protecting what's theirs, and they're protecting this freedom, or they're protecting this country or their laws or these values. And I think ultimately, when it comes down to somebody else's a God-given right for somebody to be able to eat or have shelter or water or anything that's going to help sustain life. I mean that you have to be able to help people out.
Absolutely,
Freely. I mean that's ridiculous.
Yes, it's just been wild watching. I keep up with that.
But see, as
Keep up with
Christians,
that
we live
stuff.
by a different set of standards and a different set of rules that
Are not
are
status quo to the world we live in.
and that are going to supersede any law that says you can't give somebody food. That's
Yeah.
hungry.
That's right. You better be willing. You better be willing to feed, give people communion, and go to,
100%.
jail. It's just been it's wild what's going on. One of my favorite writers and speakers, Shane Claiborne, had this very thing happen. And he was arrested multiple times for feeding people in Love Park. How ironic!
Wow.
And sleeping with the homeless in Love Park for disorderly conduct. So I mean that's just one example. They're all over the place, and evil laws like that are starting to come into play right here in our own town. So we as Christians do need to do something about it, and we can't be indifferent to it. It's when you have to ask yourself, what is the Christian to do? And in that point, it's our job to disobey unjust laws, as MLK would say.
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
Cool.
Dude, Steven,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming on.
And make
you, guys.
sure you all check out the Stay Last podcast.
See, yeah, we're going to get crazy. We're going to get some issues that are hot topic issues.
Hot topic.
Just hot topic.
Not that. No, that. What's that? The store in the
Store
mall?
hot
Hot
topic?
topic?
No.
That's
No.
all you're going to it's a whole podcast
About
just
Hot
on
Topic.
Hot Topic?
Yeah, no. Wait, is
get
that
it.
still a store?
Is it long form?
Yeah, it's still there.
Is
3-hour conversations about Hot
is.
Topic?
Nice.
Yeah.
You can go
No, that's
become
funny.
punk rock in one shopping spree.
Cool.
Yeah,
it
man.
was
Well,
a
thanks
pleasure.
for coming on.
Love you guys so much.
Yeah.
I love you,
you,
all.
man.
Yeah, you're the best. Thanks for telling your story. Brian, that's
Brian,
it.
thank you
Peace.
for everything. You're
Have a good
amazing.
one. We're out.
Peace.